Imagine if every Pixar movie through the ages were an adjective. So to my right are a list of the adjectives that I will be pairing up with each Pixar movie. But before I do it, pause this video and see what Pixar movies you would pair up with these adjectives. Don't worry, your phone's not broken. I'm just waiting for you to pause the video. Alright, so first up, we have the iconic and debut Pixar film, Toy Story. If Toy Story were an adjective, of this list, it would be supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Not only because it's the most Disney of the Pixar movies, but supercalifragilisticexpialidocious actually means great and or extraordinary. What better words are there to use to describe Toy Story? Up next, we have A Bug's Life. Take a minute to decide which adjective you would use to describe a bug's life. And if you don't know the definitions of these words, that's okay. This is part of a learning thing. So for A Bug's Life, I chose bodacious, which means very good or impressive. I think a lot of people at that time were wondering, would Pixar make another film as good as Toy Story? And you know what? If you go back and watch A Bug's Life, it is really funny. For some reason, it has escaped our consciousness, but it is a really, really funny movie. I laugh quite a lot when I watch it. So yes, A Bug's Life is bodacious. All right, next up we have Toy Story 2. Take a minute to decide which adjective you would use to describe Toy Story 2. And you can write these down in the comments if you'd like to. See which ones you get right or wrong, or maybe you can fight me on a couple of them. That's fine too. So for Toy Story 2, I chose conjubilant. Conjubilant means that it is describing a group of people screaming out for joy. And I feel like that's what we all did when Toy Story 2 came out in 1999. You know, it was the 90s, where, you know, the sequels were never, if ever, as good as the original. So for Toy Story 2 to actually be as good or better than Toy Story was pretty mind-blowing. And a lot of people, I feel like, just stood up and cheered and shouted for joy. Next up, we have Monsters, Inc. Take a minute to decide which adjective you would use to describe Monsters, Inc. The one I chose was Popple. Remember the Popples? Anybody my age remember the Popples? That was like a thing, right? Or was that just a fever dream I had? Anyway, Popple means choppy seas, a period of turbulence, uncertainty, and difficulty. You may be wondering, well, why would you choose that description for Monsters, Inc.? Well, that is it is a really suspenseful movie. If you don't know what's about to happen, or you don't already have it memorized in your head, that movie gets you on the edge of your seat throughout the entire thing. The scene with Randall in the bathroom, he's hitting all the bathroom stalls. You know, how are they going to keep Boo hidden from all the monsters in the city? It's a really thrilling and suspenseful movie. And I remember watching it for the first time, and I was just really concerned for the characters in this movie because I did not see a way out for them. And that, my folks, is called good storytelling. So thank you, Pete Doctor. Next up, we have Finding Nemo. Take a minute to decide which adjective you would want to describe Finding Nemo. I'll give you my answer in just a second here. I chose the word highfalutin. Highfalutin, it means pretentious and fancy. You know, and that's not, I'm not dissing Finding Nemo. It is a really good film. It was my favorite film for a really long time there. And when I say it's pretentious and fancy, I'm just looking at the other animated films that were coming out at the time. This was the only one that attempted to pull the heartstrings, especially compared to DreamWorks' Shark Tale, the most hideous thing I've ever seen. The whole movie looks like somebody puked over a Picasso painting. It's disgusting. But Finding Nemo is so much better and in such high regard compared to anything else surrounding it. All right, next up we have The Incredibles. Take a minute to decide which adjective you would use to describe The Incredibles. So the word I chose was sockdolager. That word means a decisive blow or answer. And what I mean by that is the reason I call The Incredibles a sockdolager is because, so we're like, what, 6 movies into Pixar? And The Incredibles comes out and it's like the definitive answer. Is Pixar going to be the greatest studio of all time? And Incredibles hit theaters and we all just like collectively agreed, yes. This is the movie studio to rule them all. And so The Incredibles was a very decisive movie in that regard. Next up, we have Cars. Go ahead and take a minute to decide which adjective you would use from the remaining list to describe Cars. All right, so the one I chose was flibbertigibbet. I can't even say it. What the heck does that mean, right? Flibbertigibbet means silly and irresponsible. Again, that's not, okay, personally, I loved Cars. I really, really, really liked it. I know a lot of people didn't. And so I speak for a lot of people when I say that I think they saw Cars as just kind of a silly, childish thing that Pixar was above. I thought it was a great film, but speaking for the masses, Cars was a flibbertigibbet, however you pronounce it. Ratatouille. Which word would you use to describe ratatouille? I know you don't recognize a lot of these words, but that is okay. Unless you're like an English teacher or a professor of languages. But anyway, for ratatouille, I chose dingus. Because dingus is when you forget what something is called. And I think for a long time, a lot of us had a hard time pronouncing ratatouille. And I know it helped when they put the phonetic sounding in the parentheses. I thought that was really cool. But if I'm to give ratatouille another adjective, it would have to be perfect. It is like, oh my gosh, it's so perfect. It's such a great film. All right, next up we have WALL-E. Go ahead and decide which adjective you would want to describe WALL-E. So for WALL-E, I chose the word cromulent. Now, a lot of people are going to get really upset with me because cromulent means acceptable or legitimate. It never was my favorite. You know, I don't hate it. It is a tremendous film. Don't get me wrong, but it just, I don't know, it lacked something for me, and it still does. I haven't decided what it is, but it was acceptable and legitimate. So this is definitely one where you're gonna differ with me on, and that's okay. Next up, we have up. Go ahead and decide which adjective you would want to describe that one. The word I chose was snickersnee. Snickersnee is it's a long knife. I know that's not really an adjective, it's more of a noun, but it's a long knife because it cuts deep into me. It cuts so deep, it is so freaking sad. Oh, it's so sad, and it's not even the saddest Pixar movie. Next up, we have Toy Story 3. Decide which remaining word you would use from this list to describe Toy Story 3. So for Toy Story 3, I chose the word physical. Physical means the alignment of 3 celestial objects as the sun, the earth, and either the moon or a planet. So Toy Story 3 was the planets aligning to create the most perfect trilogy in the history of cinema and the universe. All right, we have Cars 2. Don't be too brutal. No promises that I won't be, but go ahead and choose your word. And the word I chose for Cars 2 was piffling. Piffling, it's something that's of little worth. It's trifling, piddling. It's just that one thing we don't need. We don't need it. We don't need it. It's a horrible movie. It's so bad. I think I only tried watching it once. I got through it, but man, that was really hard to do. All right, we have just 2 more adjectives up here. I feel like Vanna White. The next movie up is brave. Decide which of these 2 words you would want to describe brave. I chose cattywampus. Cattywampus is an imaginary fierce wild animal, and it could also mean savage or destructive. So that works 2 ways for me. Obviously, you have the queen that turns into a bear. It's a fierce animal, but also the word destructive. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. It's just not amazing. I'm gonna call it destructive because first we had Cars 2 and then Brave. Yeah, so that is Brave is cattywampus. And of course we have Monsters University. That's gonna get stuck with the word quagmire. Quagmire means a situation from which excitation is very difficult. So a situation where you can't pull yourself out of. What does that mean? Well, whenever my kids turn Monsters University on, I don't care what part it's at, I will stop what I'm doing and I will sit and watch it. That movie has got to be the most underrated movie of all time. It has to be. It has to be. It is so good. Maybe you saw it once in the theaters and you just kind of forgot about it. You went about, try it again. It is such a good movie. I know we have, like 14 more Pixar movies to do. I split this up into 2. So anyway, check back in if you are interested in seeing part 2 of the Pixar Adjective Elimination game. I'll see you in the next video.